So people coming to the gigs, are we seeing more feminine faces? What about you, Catherine? Are you seeing more people? And also for your festival as well?
Having seen the demographic information of the ticket purchasers, I would say that it is more male-dominated so far, which I don't think is a surprise to anybody. But that doesn't mean that there aren't female names on the list. And I think, if anything, the press about the festival being so heavy on the side of it being organised by a lady as well, I would very much hope that any women would feel welcome at the festival. I would say I feel like they should be welcome at any festival. It doesn't necessarily have to be run by someone for us to think, actually, Ladies Lose would be a great idea.
Anna, what's your demographic for people coming to your gigs?
Well, I've never taken notes or anything.
Take notes and names.
I would say there are more men, probably, but there's a lot of women. I always see a lot of women in the audience.
What about women coming up to you or contacting you to say that they've been inspired by what you're doing?
Yeah, I get that a lot, and it's great. And also for our album, we actually got a lot of press, female journalists that loved the album and really liked reviewing it. So it must somehow speak to women, that music. That's really great.
I think it is a representation. So long as we're there and people see that we're there, they'll go, oh, there's a place for us as well. What do you think, Jacqui?
I mean, in my audiences are sort of my age, and sometimes their children come as well. And if it's their children coming, it's usually males. But the adults that come that are sort of my age, my era, it's usually husband and wives that come together. So it's pretty, you know.
But you
even.
must have had women contact you to say that you're the inspiration.
Oh, yes. But I don't want to brag about it. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, that's really encouraging. That's really, really nice. And it makes you feel very humble. Well, it does me, you know, when they say it, because I don't really understand it. I never actually intended to be a singer. I was just told I was going to be. But I would be forever grateful for that.
Marjana, what about you?
Well, we kind of have a funny situation, really, because as I said, in Russia, there is no prog scene. So our audience there is like all these beautiful young girls in flowery dresses, because it's like a completely different demographics. Whereas in Europe and in the UK, it's mostly male and mostly over 40, I'd say. So, and which is nice because they buy merchandise. But yeah, I would very much love to see the difference, like the changes to that, because I go to a lot of prog gigs and prog metal gigs, and I can compare. And I see that on like younger prog metal bands, there are more women in the audience, so it's much more mixed. Young bands, say like Leprous or Haken, there's a lot of girls there. And I'm jealous because I want all the girls on my gigs too.
Okay.
So that would be very nice. Girls, please listen to our band.
Yeah.
That would be great.
How can we make that happen?
I have no clue.
It's an interesting one. It's an interesting, like recently, my cousin asked me to help with the Secret Sari dress project, and obviously I fortunately work across a few different genres, but I found that I was going to have to work further than prog to connect musicians with the project, because we needed people who were influencers who would have a largely female audience. Secret Sari dress project is a social business set up by my cousin, Frith Vincent, and it helps to stop human trafficking in India. This particular project works with India, although human trafficking is a global issue. And because I'm a musician, she'd basically worn this dress at a festival and realised that while she was watching Alyssa White-Glutz and Mariah Brink on stage, she's not particularly a metaler, but she went with her husband, and she realised that that voice was the perfect voice to get behind the project and to sell these dresses. So telling me about the project, and the funds from the dresses actually go straight into employing and training women in a sewing unit in West Bengal. So she told me about it, and I said, well, okay, I'd like to help. How can we do this? So we just started to brainstorm and decided to reach out to as many women as possible in a lot of areas in music, but we found the most successful was the rock and metal, because these women have such huge female fan bases. And yeah, the project was launched on International Women's Day, and it's done really, really well.
Good stuff.
And it's just the start of it, really. So,
Good stuff. Well done.
yeah.
Brilliant. Christina, what about females coming forward saying that you're their inspiration?
Well, I think for me, the point where I saw a lot of people starting to contact me was after being quite open about the fact that I had breast cancer. So I had a lot of messages via Facebook from fans and just from ordinary, I say ordinary people, but people that weren't particularly fans of Magenta. And that was really quite humbling as well, because I didn't do it for any other reason other than for me, my mother always sort of taught me, she said, just be open and honest about everything. And, and that's what I did. I wanted people to know. I didn't want people sort of going, oh, that sort of thing, where people just point and don't want to say the word. So I just thought, get it out there. And then I had loads of messages back from people and from women's husbands as well, who were saying, my wife's going through this. She hasn't been able to speak to anyone about it, but now you've come out on social media and said it. She feels now that she can speak about it. And that was amazing,
That's the good side of social media.